Hi, Niall. This is Stuart from Since 71. Can I jump in there, please?
Of course, far away.
I've just got a question for Lisa. With the influx of international talent that has been coming into the Women's Super League, can you see a scenario where developing talent will be pushed down into the Women's Championship to progress their development, either from permanent moves or potentially loans?
First of all, I think it's good to welcome new talent into the league, because the stronger the league is, the more commercially viable it becomes and the more interest there is in it. But also from a player development perspective, you want your players playing against the best players, because the tougher, if you're playing against better players, it makes you a better player. And that's a really important dynamic, I think. So yes, we will see that, but I think inadvertently it can really help the development of homegrown players as well, because they're coming up against players, with different experiences, different cultures, and some players that are helped or classed as the best players in the world. But that's not to say some of the best players in the world aren't already here and from here. So and that's important too. In terms of the longer term development, I think the FA have had a real focus on, putting in the pathways into clubs, with the development squads and the underage structures. And I think there's real solid work going on in the background, and clubs are really focusing on that. I know from our perspective, we're certainly focusing on that. And for me, part of the reason of putting Ellie in, or putting Lenny in there as the co-captain, is to show that there is a pathway for younger players, and, to give them that incentive to work hard, and that the world can be your oyster if you can commit and make the commitments, because it's difficult. It's hard to be a professional footballer. It's a tough role. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of commitment. Players make a lot of sacrifices in order to be professional, and they don't get the same financial rewards that players in men's football get. So if anything, it's probably even a bigger sacrifice for female players to get to the top level of the game. But as a coach, and across the leagues, our job is to facilitate as many of them as possible to the best resources, the best facilities, and the best levels of coaching, to facilitate those players to go on and reach their potential, and continue to make this journey easier for future female players, that they can have a career in football, and that they can have a good career in football. And that's the responsibility, I feel, of this generation, for us to make sure that every time we make changes and we make that commitment, that we go on to make it easier for the generations that follow.
As I actually coach Havant Waterlooville under 15 girls myself, so that's really encouraging to hear. And it actually brings me on to my last question, actually. You've obviously, as a club, you've struck up the partnership with Shenfield Academy.
Yeah.
How much input will you have on the players' development there? Will you be looking to mirror playing styles, or would they be allowed to learn and develop under the coaches that are overseeing them?
I think it's really important that that the development squads and the underage squads feel connected with the first team, and that they feel that there's a genuine pathway, that there's not a disconnect there. So it very much is a focus of mine to keep an eye on them, and to help guide and support the coaches that are working in our underage infrastructures and with the development squads, that they are implementing the values of the club and the values that we promote within the first team, so that when those players get the opportunity to step up and come into the first team, which ultimately is what we're trying to do, that they understand what we're about, what the club stands for, what playing for London City Lionesses means, and also, but that they, a big part of my philosophy is to promote creativity, and not overcoach and stifle, but to promote creativity, and promote players to have that courage and conviction in their ability to try things, and to create a safe environment for them to try things and learn. So for me, that's a really important piece.
Cool. It all sounds really positive, to be honest, and I'm excited to see how you all get on during the season. So from everyone at Since 71, best of luck to you and the girls.
Thank you very much.